Welcome to the Harmonic Universe. Today we're diving into the harmonic model of consciousness, and we're going to explore the living architecture of harmonic remembrance, deep memory, coherent will, and planetary service. To really grasp this framework, we have to completely toss out our old ideas of what it means to be of service. Just think about this quote for a second. Planetary service is not something you do, it is something you become. In this harmonic cosmology, service has absolutely nothing to do with physical labor or sacrifice, or burning yourself out. Instead, it's all about achieving a state of pure, energetic alignment. It's vibrating so coherently at your own unique frequency that just being in the room becomes a stabilizing force. You're not forcing change on anyone, you're just emitting a really coherent, grounded truth. And that perfectly sets up our next idea. When you get closer to a place of internal coherence, you start acting like a gentle beacon, what's called a planetary node. You know how Earth has its own ley lines and energetic centers? Well, you essentially become a mobile version of that. You function like a living tuning fork. Just by holding a clear harmonic frequency, your mere presence helps stabilize the collective field and everyone around you. No preaching required. So you might be wondering, how does this invisible frequency actually take shape in our messy physical world? Well, it comes down to this. Geometry is how frequency stabilizes itself into form. We usually think of sacred geometry, things like the flower of life, as just cool decorative art. But in this architecture, those geometries are the literal, living structural language of consciousness. They're the underlying mathematical blueprints that allow formless energy to condense into the reality we can actually touch and experience. Which brings us to the crystalline architecture of, well, you. Your physical body, the crystals buried deep underground, and the massive cosmic structures out in space, they all share the exact same geometric templates. It's like a giant cosmic fractal. This means your body isn't just a random sack of cells, it's a complex harmonic vessel. Your bones, your fascia, your energy centers, they form this living crystalline lattice. So living in true alignment literally means our path through time works exactly the same way. We've got to stop picturing time as this rigid, straight track moving from past into the future. Timelines are flowing, braided streams of light and potential. Every choice we make is a micro harmonic shift, weaving in and out, converging and diverging based on our individual and collective resonance. You don't just choose a timeline with your logical mind, you match it vibrationally. This is what we call harmonic will. We're not talking about ego driven manifestation or trying to brute force reality to give you what you want. Not at all. By letting go of rigid identities and clearing your internal frequency, you seamlessly match your vibration to the most coherent path available. You basically tune into a timeline that's already broadcasting that higher frequency, and reality just naturally organizes itself around that tone. But as we're surfing these braided rivers of light, we start to realize that the you doing the navigating isn't just one isolated voice. You're actually a convergence point. Think of yourself as a living inner council. This council integrates past lives, parallel selves, ancestral echoes, and streams of your higher oversoul, all packed into one embodied form. Multidimensional coherence isn't about silencing those different parts of yourself, it's about synthesizing them. So, how do we get all those inner voices to actually agree? Well, we use specific practices such as harmonic listening, where you sit in stillness and listen to all those inner voices without any judgment, just feeling their frequency. You can call it meditating, but so many of us silence these parts of us when we simply need to listen and feel. Then there's tonal voting, for when you need to make a big decision. You basically feel out which option creates the strongest harmonic agreement across your entire being. By practicing these, you learn to take all that inner dissonance and tune it into a single, unifying harmonic tone. And once you hit that unifying tone, it completely changes how we interact with our own history. Cosmic memory isn't some dusty mental filing cabinet in your brain. It's a scalar field of resonance. You don't recall the past, you tune into the frequency left behind. This shifts memory from being just a biological brain function into a transdimensional interface. Your very cells become harmonic nodes, picking up information from the wider field around you. This brings us to a distinction in this framework: memory loops versus memory streams. Think about the rigid, repetitive cycles of trauma. Those act as tight, closed loops that keep you fixated and fragmented. Compare that to the expansive, open flowing waves of true memory streams. A trauma loop keeps you completely stuck, We're playing a distorted signal over and over. But a memory stream, that connects you to the full, unbroken continuity of who you are. In this model, healing is literally just shifting your dial from a closed loop to an open, flowing stream. So, how exactly do these flowing memory streams travel to us? They use light codes, and this part may be a bit esoteric, but bear with me. These are incredibly structured photonic packets of geometric intelligence. They don't use words, they ride directly on subtle sound and light waves, bypassing the logical mind completely and passing straight into our field. And the receiver, that's your crystalline DNA. It acts as a biological antenna, catching and broadcasting these frequencies, which triggers deep cellular remembrance without you even having to think about it. Now, a lot of these light codes actually originate from our galactic ancestry. But let's be clear, we aren't looking at these star systems as literal physical hometowns that you flew away from in a spaceship. Places like Lyra, Sirius, or the Pleiades represent archetypal frequency bands. For example, Lyra holds the core resonance for harmonic sovereignty, while the Pleiades are all about emotional kinship. These are vibrational lineages, deep echoes in your oversoul that help define what you're here on Earth to do. Think about it. It means the next time you look up at the night sky, you aren't just looking at burning balls of gas. You are looking at a living mnemonic device, sometimes called the celestial loom. The constellations up there act as massive consciousness diagrams that reflect your oversoul's deep memory. They're basically archetypal stories and initiation sequences mapped right onto the sky. Stargazing becomes an act of inner cosmology, a way to remember the shared architecture between your soul and the universe. Let's bring this back down to Earth. We can look at Gaia as a dreaming body, a sentient, multidimensional temple. The Earth's sacred geographic sites, like its mountains and ancient rivers, are resonant hubs or memory storage units, and because your body is a fractal mirror of this planetary temple, your spine echoes its ley lines and your chakras echo its nodes. We are the ultimate interface. You and the Earth are in a continuous state of mutual dreaming, constantly reflecting each other's frequencies. All of this, the cosmic resonance, the planetary reflection, it all culminates in your body of light. And this light body isn't just some glowing energetic aura, it's a living archive. It actively stores your ancestral codes, the records of your oversoul or higher self, and all the activated potentials of your deep soul gifts. When your energy field gets coherent enough, this light body acts as the perfect interface, allowing memory and resonance to flow through you flawlessly. If there's one thing you can take away from all this today, let it be this. Activating your light body or stepping into true planetary service is not about acquiring something new. It is not some futuristic upgrade you have to grind for or earn. It is entirely about peeling away distortions. It's a return to your original radiant design. You're just clearing out the static so that the living architecture of consciousness, which was always inside you from day one, can finally shine through. Which brings us to a potent question to leave you with as we wrap this up. We've seen how everything from your very cells up to the distant stars speaks this shared language of geometry, light, and frequency. So, if memory is truly just resonance, and your physical body is a tuning fork for the living temple of Earth, what tone are you broadcasting to the cosmos right now? Thanks for joining me today, and I hope this sparks a new way of looking at the architecture of your life.